Hey, thanks for joining us. It's Thursday evening, and welcome to Caching in the Northwest. This is the official podcast of GeoWoodstock 18 right here in the Great Pacific Northwest. Now, I already said, but it's Thursday evening at 9 p.m. Pacific. I'm Chris of the Northwest, and we're going to talk about geocaches and geocachers from here and all around the globe. So while you're trying to remember where you hid the presents so the kids won't find them, while you're doing that, we'll be caching in the Northwest.
They're all wrapped under the tree. They know where to find them. They're just shaking them like crazy right now.
That's why you get them Lego sets.
Ooh, there you go. Throw some broken glass in just to throw them off. All right. Well, tonight we're talking with Ian from North Shore Rescue about how to survive your own adventure. Welcome, Ian.
Hello.
Hey.
Thank you for having me on.
We're glad you're here. We're going to get into that story and all that stuff in just a little bit. But, and of course, live audience, we want to hear what you have to say too, because that really makes the show. But first, of course, it's time to bring in our Christmas chimp. Some say he rejected a property deed for the holidays. And others say all that's required is a sheep. Because he didn't want a lot for Christmas. All he wanted is a ewe. And he's called Land Monkey.
There you go.
Wow. That was a long ways to go for that one.
I was seeing how long you'd shake your head there, you know. Hey, I just read them. They show up every week, and I read them. So
the beauty of being the cold read guy, you take
you know, I'm
no
not going to mention any names, but yeah.
Awesome. Well, this is the point in the show where I thank all of our patrons who help to keep this podcast coming each and every week. And of course, Land Sharks, our corporate Denali level sponsor, or one of our corporate Denali level sponsors. And Helen from Land Sharks let me know to share with everybody that it was so great seeing all the folks who came out to the event last weekend. And we're so glad we got it in under the wire.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun to be there for those folks who could make it. And if you couldn't make it, check it out online and see when Santa showed up. Also a reminder that the Boxing Week sale starts tomorrow. It seems like it's a day or so early, but hey, that's when it starts. And it is their biggest sale of the year. So check it all out at landsharkswithaz.ca.
Biggest sale. That sounds like a bargain.
Could be.
What the bargain?
Either that or it's like a really large ship.
Mm.
All right.
They are on the dock.
Yeah.
They are on the pier. Yes, indeed. And don't forget about our other corporate Denali level sponsor. That's Gold Country Geotourism. Start planning your adventures for the spring and, whenever else we can travel up to Gold Country and visit them at exploregoldcountry.com. Remember to know before you go. Pay attention to disabled caches and closed FSRs, but make your plans and support the good folks up at Gold Country. And on Facebook, that's Explore Gold Country, all one word. And you know what, folks? If you just in general want to know more about supporting this podcast, well, why don't you go on over and click that Patreon link on the CachingNW.com website.
There you go. And what is better to follow up that than a glow? You know, sitting by the warm fire. Wait, this is a different kind of glow. This is a geocaching log of the week type of glow. I know, I didn't ask you what it was this week. But what we want to know, what we want to hear is whether you read it or whether you wrote it. We want to hear about it because great logs simply make geocaching better. Send an email or a recording to feedback@cachingnw.com. You can always call into 253-693-TFTC. And that didn't seem like it came out right. 253-693-TFTC. And show us how you glow. Now, this week's glow is a Facebook post from Dora Moore. And I thought it was very well done. So it's the glow this week.
Yes, over there on the friend face thing. The faces posts, whatever it's called. I don't know. I looked at it years ago, haven't been back. So yes, thank you to Dora Moore for this. And I will try to do it justice, but you know, I'm an engineer, not a singer. So if all the neighborhood dogs come running, you'll know why. It goes something like this. Caching through the snow with my husband MTC. O'er the ice we go, sliding merrily. I made it down the hill and quickly made the find. But climbing back up to the trail, I fell on my behind. Oh, caching tales, stories full of woe. That's what happens when you go out caching in the snow. Everybody, caching tales, stories full of woe. That's what happens when you go out caching in the snow.
And there you hear the delay of each one of us trying to figure out how to do this together.
Wonderful.
I was right in sync with myself.
You
I know
were.
you were.
Yeah.
Well done. All right. Well, hey, reminder, if you have questions for Ian as we get into the topic here regarding the North Shore Rescue Survive Your Own Adventure or anything about North Shore Rescue, use hashtag NSR. And our chat lock, you'll be monitoring the chat and he'll drop those questions into the show notes for us. And if you've got general chit chat stuff you want to talk about, well, that's what the after show is for. So use hashtag Fatash and we'll put it in the after show.
A little bit of Sean
Thank you,
Connery
Thurston
there.
Howell the third.
Oh, I was thinking it was more like a Sean Connery.
Oh,
A little bit of
okay.
both.
Vasily, one ping only.
That's right.
Yes, he was Russian, yet still had his. Anyway, we won't talk about accents. Hey,
Scottish Russian.
it was Scottish Russian. Yes, yeah, the rare combination. You don't see that often.
No.
Ian, thank you for your patience. Welcome to the podcast. We're delighted to have you here with us on behalf of North Shore Rescue. I see you got the Santa hat memo.
Of course, yeah.
So
You
now,
know,
for
3 out of
those
4
who
podcasters will wear Santa hats during Christmas week.
exactly.
Well, it's the season.
For those of you, for those listening that may not be familiar with you or perhaps that incredible organization, can you share a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, sure. I'll just talk about the organization first because that's a lot more exciting. North Shore Rescue, they're primarily like a mountain search and rescue group based out of Vancouver. And there's the North Shore Mountains here. We got 3 of them: Cypress, Seymour, and Grouse, and then just all the terrain in between, right? So, and we have a very large, dense population right against those mountains. So there's a lot of people, naturally, especially with COVID now, it's like everyone wants to go out and explore their backyard. So this keeps them quite busy. But this group of volunteers, as are all the search and rescue organizations in BC, they're all volunteer groups. They are trained in like mountain travel, rope rescue, avalanche rescue, swift water, first aid, and more. Lots of helicopters. It's a pretty exciting, like in terms of volunteer organizations, this is a pretty awesome one. And then for myself, originally we were doing a documentary on them. So I was, as one of the primary cinematographers, I was embedded with them, and I pretty much went on every call for a year. So it was kind of thrown right into the deep end there. And I had to prove to them that I wasn't going to become a liability and that I could sail along. But once, after we had that first night of kind of sleeping out in the bush, no sleeping bag, I think just kind of like puffy jacket, just curl up in the bush after we like got into the subject and we're just waiting for the helicopter in the morning. Through that cold night, the next day, then definitely kind of earned our stripes and they were more accepting of us. So I did that for a year. And after the project finished and the documentary is done, and you can go see it on Knowledge Network, just a little plug there. Yeah, I see you've watched it. It was hard to say. Yeah, just a couple. Good, excellent. It was kind of weird to like just say goodbye after the project because like I've been seeing them like super like a lot, right? And there's such a great group of people that I stayed on as a resource member. So there's kind of like 2 types of members there. There's like the field members and they do all like the rope work and like all that stuff. But then there's this whole other side that people don't really see called resource members. So there's like accountants, mechanics, drone operators. And so it's kind of, it's like a good way for me to stay in it and still provide some of my expertise too. And I get to go to the Christmas parties.
Oh, there's a
Yeah.
perk right there.
Yeah, big perk.
Well, they are a fantastic group of people. Do wonderful work. They're the nicest group of people you never want to meet.
Yeah,
At least
Yeah.
not as the recipient of their services.
yeah, exactly.
If you could volunteer and join them, then yeah, meet them all you want. But no, I have seen a couple episodes. It's harder to find down here in the U.S., but very, very well done. Very great episodes.
Yeah,
Now
we are working on trying to get it down there for you guys to watch
Oh,
too.
please. Yeah, please let us
Yeah.
know. I'm anxious to see more.
Yeah.
Now, COVID, right? We've gotten the impression that search and rescue groups have been, let's just say, busier than usual during the last couple of years of COVID. Do you have any stats regarding call outs, rescues, trips for search and rescue during COVID that you could share with our listeners and kind of give them a sense how busy you guys have all been, or they've been, or
Yeah.
everybody's been?
Yeah. I don't have any exact stats, but I can say, so when we were filming back in, kind of forget now, I think 2018, maybe like year and a half or 2 years before COVID, right?
Okay.
And I think we had about 144 call outs that year. And that was the busiest that it's been. But then with COVID, that's surpassed. But I don't know, unfortunately, I don't know the number of what it is, but they're
But
super
busier.
busy. Yeah, busier. It's
Busier
gone up.
than
It
ever.
hasn't gone down. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of like call outs kind of happen. I mean, obviously when people are off, right? So like during the holidays, it can be quite busy. Also during season transitions, people get caught unaware too. So, it's like clocks change back, all of a sudden it's getting dark. I don't know, like 5 p.m., right? And you're like, oh, it's
3:30.
not, yeah, 3:30, right? And like, or okay, so people get caught out then without like flashlights or anything like that, and like it's really hard to make your way
Yeah.
out of the forest. And then or like springtime, it's like, oh, it's so nice and sunny in the city, but then you go up to the mountains and it's still like knee deep snow, and you're up there in your runners. So those are kind of like definitely 2 times that people will be caught unaware. And like the heat definitely doesn't help in the middle of summer too. It's just people go out longer, or they have their dogs with them. Dogs get super dehydrated, and just like, you have an 80, 90 pound dog, it's gonna be tricky to move them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I remember North Shore Rescue. Maybe it wasn't North Shore. It was one of the BC search and rescue groups posted just a little while ago about a dog rescue they did and it was a big dog, and they were carrying it. Maybe it was North Shore, but they were carrying out a big dog, and it was like an overnight job. It was pretty crazy. I was watching the social media on that one.
Yeah, it's like it's basically like the weight of a person. That's like, if they're, if something goes wrong, you don't think it would happen to your dog, but then that could cause you to spend the night out or really delay it and putting you into danger as well. So it's kind of all about trying to head things off before things get worse, right? Like, let's say, if your phone dies because you're trying to use it as like a flashlight or something like that, and then they can't locate you, because sometimes they can try to, like, it's called a ping. So they can kind of try to triangulate you through your phone if you still have service and battery. But, if you lose that, then their job's going to get a lot trickier.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, Ian, one of the things you're going to find out is we have one of the best chats in all of the internet, and we call them our research department.
Yeah.
So BC Rockcrawler says it's one of the busiest SAR groups in the country, I believe.
Yes.
And
okay, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say GSM times 2 said on December 24th, 2020, North Coast set a new record and took its 145th call for 2020.
Yeah, I think he means North Shore. So yeah, North Shore.
North Shore, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yep. Very good. Good job, researchers. Yeah, I mean, they have a very active Facebook page too. So if you go to, I think, North Shore Rescue, you'll see they'll kind of share their rescues and details, what they can about the rescue. So it's a good learning tool too.
Yeah, for sure. And if you follow Adventure Smart, they, I think, monthly post the BC stats for call outs as well, which is super, super handy. Ian, so you've given us a little taste about what your role with North Shore Rescue is, in the sense that you're sorry, was it supporting member?
Resource. Yeah.
Resource
Support
member.
resource member. Yes.
And can you tell us a little bit more about what that means, and what you specifically do as a resource member for NSR?
Yeah, sure. So basically, they're trying to develop their drone program. So kind of how drones are like, it's still new, so we're kind of still figuring out what are good applications for that. But some really handy ways that drones are able to kind of save time and kind of keep people out of, difficult, treacherous terrain is like, let's say there's a lot of cliffs that, to access it, you have to drop a rope down, you got to climb down the rope, you got to look, you got to climb back up the rope, because like sometimes if people aren't responsive, right, you can't just shout down there and just assume, right? So you got to go down. So you can use a drone and you can look down. And kind of one call that we went on last year was 2 skiers or snowboarders went out of bounds out from the ski area, but it was foggy, high avalanche danger. Snow was like coming down. So, and they were most likely in this drainage or like kind of like known avalanche path area that it's like, basically we shouldn't be sending our own members down there because there's a good chance of an avalanche, right? So it's so there, got the drone out from a high point and just kind of sent it down into the fog, trying to scan for like tracks and as best we can. And we were able to kind of like go out, but we couldn't find any signs. It was very like thick kind of pea soup snow coming down. Couldn't find it. And thankfully later they decided to search the next kind of drainage over, and they ended up finding them because those guys had already spent one night out there. Ooh. So the prospect of spending another night wasn't going to be good, especially in those conditions. So it's that kind of tool that's putting it out where like helicopters can't go necessarily because of the weather or because of trees and things like that could save a lot of time. We are hoping to develop it's called FLIR. So that's using the infrared, like, so basically, because some drones they're starting to have FLIR cameras on them. It's a much tighter resolution. So it's still kind of like looking through a bit of a drinking straw, you're trying to like look around. So it's pretty tight, but it is a tool that we're hoping to, use. Dense tree cover is not really going to cut it, or like heavy fog, but it'll still like, it'll be like a red dot or yellow or, against the cool background, which will be really helpful for future. So that's some things that are coming down the pipeline for the drone stuff. So that's basically what I get to do. So they'll call me out when they need to search for people. Then I'll head out and do what I can.
Nice.
Cool.
Thanks.
Love it. Now, we're here tonight to talk about North Shore Rescue's Survive Your Own Adventure video. This is, make your own adventure kind of, it's a video instead of a book like I grew up with, but this is really cool. Now, if someone went to the website, what would they expect to see with this video?
Yeah, good. So basically so you got to go to the North Shore website. So North Shore Rescue, and under education tab, there's the interactive, I wrote down exactly what it's called. Or is it interactive video? Yeah. So there you can start playing immediately, right? Like you could just, it'll open up, there'll be a video there, and we kind of laid it out like your book, right? So it's kind of a first person point of view. You're starting your trip, right? You have your 2 backpacks out. It's like your first choice already there is like, am I gonna take the small pack, because maybe it's gonna be a quick trip, or am I gonna take like my big overnight pack with everything, right? So then from there, you can just click on the button and it'll kind of take you through the story, and you can make your decisions along the way. And also during each of these decisions, even if you like pick the right way, we can still give you some tips and things to, like what else you should be thinking about there. So I think it's really fun to kind of like, try to ace it and, get through and get home safe and sound, but it's also fun to try all the wrong ways. And if you can imagine when we're designing it, a tree, because each choice, right, is a branch. So you have
Mhm.
like the trunk there, and then these branch, like all of a sudden we're like, oh yeah, it'll be fun to do this or be this, but because of like, well, budget and time, you know, we had
Sure.
to restrict it down. But it's still already, this tree got quite impressive with all the with all the choices at the end. If you can kind of play through, I believe I was counting just before this. There's kind of 23 different ends.
Wow.
You know, like some are like the same outcome, but you know, there's 23
Mhm.
different ways to get to there. So it's really quick and easy. I think, I mean, I haven't gotten my 4-year-old to play it, but you know, so like you know, a 4-year-old could play it, and it is quite entertaining. There are some graphic scenes though, so just be aware of that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Is there only one right outcome?
Nope,
Okay.
there's not. Yeah, I think there's at least a handful. Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to give it away, but
No,
I
don't give
think
it away.
I think Land Monkey was already saying that he tried to like play it through as best he can, like, you know, try to get all the right answers. But were you able to complete it unscathed? Like, did you make it back home safe or?
I made it back home safe, but even
Yeah.
then, there was constructive feedback about at the very beginning of the adventure when this happened, you probably should have thought about doing that. And I thought, okay. And I think it was related to when the whole thing starts. So which was funny because I was playing it with Mrs. Land Monkey, and the very first thing I said as the video starts, and you know, again, I don't want to give too much away, but as the video starts and the adventure begins, and there's a mention of what time of day it is, the first thing I said to my wife was, "Why are they starting now?" So I was like,
You have-
"Yes, I nailed it."
You know, because you got to go for brunch, and then you got to like pick
Well,
up
you
your
don't have
stuff,
to.
and yeah, you got to organize your friends, and then it's like, yeah, then it's time to go. But I
Yeah.
will say, like, we pick the scenarios based off of common things that they see out in the field, and it's like, especially after spending a year out there, it's like there are repeating things, like kind of mistakes that are pretty common out there. I will say that if you go to the Adventure Smart website and do your reading there, that'll probably help you get a positive outcome on the game and when you're geocaching.
Well, and that's the thing, right? That's why it's so relevant to our audience. And I think the other thing I want to impress upon people is that it's not just because North Shore Rescue made and published this video, it isn't specific to hiking in the North Shore. That's just where it's filmed and who produced it or who is
Yeah.
making it publicly accessible.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's relevant to everyone. So it's definitely it's worth checking out.
Yeah, Land Monkey, they started then because we all have that one friend in the group that never mind.
Okay.
Where are they? Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on, let's go. We were
Yeah.
supposed to leave an hour ago. All
Yep.
right. So Ian, we assume that there's some sort of anticipated outcomes that North Shore Rescue has in producing and sharing this interactive video experience. What do we what is the key takeaways that North Shore Rescue is hoping happen from this?
I mean the key, like, so the big reason why they made this, right, is like I kind of touched on earlier, is they're trying to educate people, right? Because it's, if I can tell you that you should let someone know where you're going, then that makes their job. Hopefully they don't even get called, right? But if you take some of these like little steps early on that are really easy to do, that it would make their job a lot easier. So I mean, it's kind of like they wanted something that's digestible, because they do go into schools a lot, and so they'll do kind of classroom sessions as well, and also at kind of any other public events. There'll usually be some sort of tent or something like that under the Adventure Smart umbrella there. So that was kind of the goal, is just like another tool to have, because they got such great response from the TV show, because that was when we're talking to them about doing it. It's not like they wanted some glamorized or kind of like hyped up thing, like reality TV show, right? So this is a documentary. It's not a reality TV show, because they didn't want to make their jobs harder by putting misinformation out there, and they saw that if they're going to let us do this documentary, that it has to be accurate, and they have final say on everything there, so everything is accurate and portrayed correctly so that people can use it as an education tool and learn from that, and hopefully that you don't have to meet those great people.
Exactly. Exactly. Most of us here are in computers, and when we see something on TV, hell, hold on, why I hacked through this firewall? Okay, done. Like, that's not real. That's not how this works.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, the same thing with doctors at medical shows. They look at that and go, that's not how you do that at all. So I really appreciate that the North Shore TV show was reality, not reality TV, right?
Yeah.
It was a documentary and it was real. So, looking at that, I was intimidated by the skills that those rescuers had, and you were much closer. So I assume that's the same for you as well.
Yeah.
I was intimidated by the skills Ian and Grant have to go out with them.
Yes, exactly.
That is a bit of a prerequisite, like I touched on earlier.
Mhm.
It's like don't be a liability for them. But I will say that they put to be a field member, and there's there's a good reason why not everyone is a field member. It's about 400 hours of training, volunteer hours a year. So
Wow.
yeah, they
That's a big commitment.
they work hard. Yeah, they work hard for those skills and to maintain them. So very professional volunteer group.
Really. And if you need them, you're so glad that they're there.
Oh yeah, it's an amazing resource, and Vancouver, and like all the SAR groups in BC, right? Like it's amazing that there are volunteer organizations that exist, and it's like you kind of think that it would almost be sort of like provided by your government, kind of like fire, police, ambulance, but it's not, and they do such a good job of it that but that's kind of more like a political thing there. I don't know anything about that part.
Well, we are coming up on year-end giving, right? So if you need that tax deduction for charitable giving, North Shore Rescue is right there for you.
Yeah, or your local SAR group.
Or your local SAR group, exactly.
Exactly.
Now,
where we are.
Exactly. Is there a key message that North Shore Rescue would like to leave with our listeners tonight?
I think, probably.
Chris, I think you skipped ahead a couple of questions.
Well, maybe I did. Yes, I did. You know what? Let's hold off on that.
Sure.
Why don't we let Jim ask his question first?
And maybe I shouldn't scroll so fast.
It's not that we don't like talking to you, Ian.
All right, so we've talked about all kinds of fun stuff, but what about whose idea was all this? I mean, right?
Yeah.
This is a unique thing. I don't, like Chris mentioned, when I was in elementary school, we had the Choose Your Own Adventure paperback books, and I really liked them. So maybe the idea is not completely new, but this is a whole new thing for video as far as I'm concerned. I think it's really cool. Yeah,
it's definitely for kind of our online. I mean, I also like have those Choose Your Own Adventure books, and it is a relatively new platform online to have this, but it was is kind of, I'll give credit to our director Grant Baldwin, which I think he was on one of your previous episodes, and the leader of Search and Rescue, Mike Danks. So together they knew that they needed to kind of create some learning. Well, actually, Mike approached Grant saying like, okay, we need some sort of like learning tool. Can you do something like this, right? And I mean, after our documentary and filming with them, they I guess they had the confidence that we could rustle something up for them there. Yeah, so Grant and Mike are the ones behind it.
Well, kudos to them.
Yeah, for sure. It's super innovative, and of course, really professionally done, as we mentioned before. And no surprise knowing that you and Grant were involved. It must have been quite the to put together. When Grant was on before and talking about the I don't want to call it a reality series, but the documentary series, the documentary series of North Shore Rescue. He had some really interesting anecdotes that he shared about it, and you've alluded to a couple of them already. From the filming or production of this video, were there any interesting or amusing anecdotes that you could share with us?
Yeah, so I mean, we put in a couple Easter eggs. So at first we didn't want to. I mean, yeah, and you guys are geocachers, so you like looking for those things. You'd have to kind of know a little bit of history of the team, but when we were naming the places, like the geographical names and things like that, we renamed it because we didn't want to put real names of places on there. Just just like the phone number in the movies, right? It's like, oh, my phone number is 22222, so you don't get everyone trying to call you. But there are, if you look up those names, some of those names, then you'll find out the meaning of those. So that's one Easter egg. If you know, well, actually, I guess because this is a video podcast, Grant is he did a little cameo in it as well, so you can see where you'll have to go through the different scenarios and see where does he pop up, and he might not be like the really helpful. He might not be the helpful decision. Is what I'll say. He may lead you astray. So I mean, it's always kind of fun, kind of putting in these little Easter eggs, are kind of like nod to like the team's history there. But like another really fun thing was because it was a documentary, right? So it's like there's no reenactments or anything like that. Well, for the rescues, there's no reenactments, but during this, obviously, we have to create this all. None of this is actually happening, right, for this game. So we had to get like makeup artists there's a compound fracture. So it's pretty disgusting. So compound fracture is like a bone that's sticking out of your skin.
Yeah.
Right. Broken bone sticking on the skin. Looks gross. Hope it never happens. So I had a makeup artist to do that. And everyone was pretty disgusted by this kind of like little prosthetic thing, except for Kaylin. She's a ER nurse and she's on the team there. And so getting that piece and then getting the stunt person to like take a fall, but we had to like rig them up and like with like harness and things like that and remove it in post, but just kind of making this like realistic fall fracture thing that was kind of a new and exciting thing that we'd never experienced in the show, and then just editing it all together. And I wince every time I see that sequence. So you have to play through the game and find out where that is, because it's like, I don't know. I don't like seeing that stuff, but so it feels very real, and you're just like, oh. So they did an excellent job of putting that all together. So that was kind of some of the really more exciting parts of the whole show that was new and different for me.
Well, there you go.
Oh, that's cool. So you're saying Grant is a good bad example?
He is. He's like a mischievous elf that may leprechaun, like, do you want to take their advice?
He's a red herring.
Yes, exactly. That's right.
Nice. Now, Ian, have you ever had deja vu?
Oh yeah,
You're about
sure.
to.
You're about to.
Uh-oh.
Now, what is this message that North Shore Rescue would like to leave with our listeners tonight?
Okay. Yeah, I think that this would be a good time to. So, the message North Shore would like to leave would be basically when you're about to go out, think about the 3 T's. So, trip planning, training, and taking the essentials. Those are the 3 T's. You got to go to Adventure Smart. Look up, kind of like dive deeper into what those are, and that'll help you make better decisions in the field, and just make sure that you make a homie. You never have to call them, right? That's their ideal situation. So trip planning, training, and take the essentials.
We've had
the message.
Adventure Smart on the show several times, so our listeners know the 3 T's, or they better.
We
should test them again.
There's a quiz.
That's right.
It used to be the 10 essentials, but
right,
they've kind of changed that a little bit. But that's also gives you an idea of what you should be packing along and what you should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I guess I wanted to add to what you were saying there, Ian. And we always say that we really hope that folks don't have to call their local SAR group. But I guess one of the key things is if you are feeling like you're in any kind of danger, if do call them. Like, don't not call them just because there's a stigma to it or something like that.
Yeah.
There's no cost, and it's there for when you need them.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And to call them, you just call 911, and
Exactly.
that'll get the whole chain going. And do it sooner than later, because if your phone dies or you lose signal, things get a lot more difficult. Or if it gets dark and cold,
Yeah.
stay put. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Just a question from one of our listeners. Maybe you don't want to answer this question, but it was about the post-production for
Sure.
the special effects on the fall, and he wants to know if they added the snap for the broken bone.
Yes. Yeah. We definitely had to add a
Oh.
snap.
Oh.
Yeah.
A little bit of
I think-
celery there.
Yeah, exactly. But still, like, you see it, and like, I know that the snap is added, but it's just
Right.
ugh. Like, yeah,
You
celery.
get that reaction.
Yeah. And Gia sometimes too also adds in another
yes.
reminder, and this is something that was all over social media this fall as well. If you're lost and your phone rings, answer it, even if it is an unknown number, because it could be the search and rescue group
Yeah.
trying to get a hold of you.
What if you don't think you're lost?
Answer
Just
your phone.
answer the dang phone. if
Don't
it's
worry
an
about
auto,
the bill collectors.
Yeah.
Pay your
Yeah.
bills and answer your phone.
and if it's an auto robot caller, you can just hang up.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
might need to extend your vehicle's extended warranty or something. You
Well,
never know.
There you go.
you never know.
Yeah.
Hey, we have a question from or comment from Three Hams that says, yes, the NSR postings on Facebook are very informative lessons, which I'm sure require many edits before they're released to
Mhm.
remove all the rants of frustration and instead sound advice and professional.
Well, I will say that they're all very professional, and they're out there to help people and make sure that they get home safe and sound. And it's always a good feeling to bring them back and, make sure they see their families again.
Yeah,
It's very
absolutely.
rewarding.
Very cool. All right. Well, Ian, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to
Yeah.
give you opportunity to make sure that if people want to connect with North Shore Rescue, learn some more, if you can share with them where they should go.
NorthShoreRescue.com. Or you can reach out to them on the Facebook page too.
There you go. And then I'd throw out adventuresmart.ca as well.
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Ian. Did we have anything else, Chris, that we wanted to ask Ian before we?
I think we're good. Ian, if you would stay around for our after show, we have some fun things to talk about there, and then we'll get to ask you some more interesting questions.
Sure.
Folks, thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Caching in the Northwest.
Absolutely. And I want to take a moment to thank Land Sharks and Gold Country Geotourism, our corporate Denali level sponsors. Landsharks.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store. Check them out online, and they ship online orders daily. And the other thing that Land Monkey wanted to say was, for absolutely amazing geocaching adventures, check out exploregoldcountry.com. Thank you to our faithful Denali level supporters, Land Sharks, Gold Country Geotour, Team Squirrel, Groovy Owl, and Cachly, the geocaching app. If you want to know more about supporting this show, click the Patreon link on the cachingNW.com, a website.
Like Kitty Quest did.
Oh, right at the top there. And somebody who knows the different sounds of an ankle versus a tibia snapping, that would be Keats 94.
It must be those musical talents that can tell the
Telling you.
difference.
Ugh,
Things you don't want to learn.
that's
All right. Also, thanks to Logwork.
And Greenwords.
Boomer 365.
UDAC.
Donners.
The GeoNav Pros.
Kev MacD.
Ari 54321.
Limax.
Interesting countdown tonight. Also to Kennel Barb.
On a boat.
CRS 98.
T. Sayer.
M Nerf.
3 hams and a rose.
The worst lunch, but the best geocaching name, gas station tuna.
Alarobrick.
The Camp Clan.
Korsgat.
B. Pendragon.
Subway Mark.
And if you spill your drink, you get a wet coaster.
Antaeus.
Tick Magnet.
Sprouter.
Wino Seattle.
LG 9000.
The Geo Travelers.
Our glow of the evening, Dora Moore.
Shouldn't you say like Dora Moore?
Oh, Dora Moore.
How about Ackerduck?
How about Seebeck Tribe?
What about Fairwood West?
Broncos fan for life.
Team Noltex.
Siggyhove.
GSM times 2.
My favorite rapping geocacher, MC3 Cats.
Just finding our way.
Trexer 0.
Skyhawker.
Genies.
Utox 2 Rocks.
Peach of Washington or Nevada, or I'm not really sure.
I think she
That's
said
right.
hello from Vegas earlier. So
Speaking of Vegas,
Kid Vegas 19.
that tied in nicely. Thank you. Alrighty, and well, thanks again. We are going to go into our last stuff here. If somebody wanted to follow you, do you have a place that they could get in touch with you, or just send them to North Shore Rescue?
Yeah, send me to North Shore Rescue. I don't think I have not set up for that right now.
Good enough.
Yeah.
And folks, we're going to jump into a segment that I've heard you guys like. So you get to learn a little bit about your host, and hopefully we get to learn a little bit about you. This is a segment called At Last, or Listeners Ask Some Things. And now we get to answer. If you'd like to ask some things, you can call into 253-693-TFTC or email your question to feedback@cachingandw.com. So, have you ever regifted a present?
Sure.
Well, that was easy.
I mean, yeah.
what happens when you ask yes/no questions?
Yeah, I know, exactly. Yes, I have to.
Yeah, it's if I'm not going to use it, I might as well.
It may
find
have
somebody
been
that
to
can
you.
appreciate it.
Wits End. Oh, wait,
Yeah.
I wasn't supposed to say that.
Chris, isn't that like the first rule of interviewing is never ask yes/no questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
Thank you, Jim.
I don't know.
Shoot, now I did it.
Chris and I have gifted the same gift back and forth to each other for 12 years.
Yeah?
No, not really.
Oh,
Close
that
to
was
it.
a much better story for a moment.
It wasn't quite a gift. We had this $2 bill going back and forth between us. You know, you'd pay for lunch one time, I'd pay for lunch another. We'd keep this $2 bill moving back and forth between us for years.
I like $2 bills. He doesn't.
I didn't say I don't. Didn't you get questioned if this was real money?
I have had people question it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I've had people behind me in line and, we're opening another register, sir. And the guy says, no, I'm going to stay here. I want that $2 bill on my change.
There you go.
So,
I think Ian got tired of this segment.
yeah, I think he's done.
He's going to
Maybe
come
he's
back
gonna-
and regift himself.
Yeah, he's going to get a gift.
The gift that keeps on giving. That's awesome.
And if anybody wants to re-gift a fruitcake, I love fruitcake. So there you go.
Oh.
I guess you would want to make sure that you don't. You want to regift an unopened fruitcake.
Well, yes. The qualifications.
I take out the pieces of fruit I like, and then I send the rest on. Donner's always regifts Starbucks cards, as does
good.
apparently Komakino this Christmas.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh,
They
look
know
at
what to give each
this.
other.
I am. Okay, I admit it. It was a fruitcake.
Yes, I debunked the myth that there's only one fruitcake in the world and it goes around from person. No, 'cause when they come to my house, this is where they come to die.
I just finished
Oh,
eating
well.
one the other night.
You and Donner's.
Yeah.
I'll take the fruitcake, please.
Yes.
Donner
See?
started to
Well,
drool.
that's funny. Donner's regifted a fruitcake to us this year. I enjoyed it. So there you go.
How do you know she regifted? She wanted it.
No, she told us she was regifting it. So there you go.
Well, that's all it takes all the fun out of it. GSM times 2 says once I had a gift regifted to me on the spot when I gave an ex-girlfriend a gift. She quickly wrapped one of her dad's gifts and gave it to me.
Oh, that's funny.
Regift last year's fruitcake.
No.
And so you wouldn't notice.
Aged to perfection.
Yes, exactly. As long as it's soaked in rum for the year, it's fine.
Oh, yeah,
right?
that's even better.
Oh, folks. Oops. Thanks for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Your support helps keep the quality show coming. If you like the show, click the Patreon link on the cachingnw.com website. If you didn't like the show, let us know what you would like us to talk about, because we'll probably do it. In either case, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and more. Subscribe, give us a thumbs up and a review. You can call into 253-693-TFTC and ask us a question, leave us a comment, or fax us Nanaimo bars any time of the day or night. And of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingnw.com. Join us every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Pacific for a live show and chat. This show is produced by Chris Umfenauer, Jim Paulwitz, and Jay Kennedy. It's licensed under Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license, copyright 2021 by Chris Umfenauer. And folks, I ask you to stay tuned for the after show.
Wow,
My
that
timing
ran a
was-
little fast on you there.
Yeah, my timing was slightly off on that
It's
one.
all the fruitcake.
It was. And you're going to have to remember in 2 shows, you're going to have to change that copyright.
I know. We've got one more show that it's 2021.
Oh, that's too
Fruitcake
funny.
makes things much faster.
Before we jump into the after show, well, we already have. Folks, we wish you all a Merry Christmas from Caching in the Northwest.
That's right. And it was wonderful to see so many listeners in person last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That was a
So
lot.
nice. Such a nice event. And I have to say, Vancouver Island is beautiful. We were in and around and about Victoria and the greater area there. So it's very beautiful. Just beautiful.
Next time I go, I'm ordering the Mahoney.
Yes, I am too.
Yeah.
I'm Mahoney.
Yeah,
Hey,
there's a
this
story
has
there.
been a fun episode. I don't want to be antisocial, but I volunteered for the holiday coverage at work tomorrow, and I have to be at work at 4 a.m.
Ooh.
So I'm going to
Have
sign
be
off
at
and
work at
crawl
5.
into
I don't have to
bed.
get up till 5.
Oh yeah, no, I'm. My alarm is set for 2:15.
Yikes. All right.
Wait,
So-
there's a 2:15 in the morning?
There is, yeah. I've
Okay.
seen it the last couple of days and all next week. So, on that bombshell. Thanks, everybody.
Good
Merry
night, my
Christmas,
friend.
everyone. Good night.
Night, Jim.
Night.
All right. So we'll lose Jim, but I think we got a little bit of after show here.
We do. Let's see if I can find the Keats 94 has a FATAS, NSR, or North Shore Rescue, is deeply meaningful group of people. I can't imagine the thoughts that go through one's mind when someone can't be found. That's one thing. It's one thing to DNF a cache. It's another thing for a person.
Yeah, that's good comments, Keats, for sure. And the discussion about regifting is still going on in the chat. I think they've gone off the rails there. That's all right. It's all fun. It's been really interesting, Ian, talking with you. Great to meet you and learn a little bit more about what you do. And there's a few of us who are quite fascinated with the drone technology being used by search and rescue.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's definitely very exciting. I mean, kind of the ideal would be like a really big drone that could do a grid search, and then with FLIR, and we can just monitor that, and we can cover a lot of ground. Like, it's going to be way cheaper than a helicopter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And so much easier to get on site.
Yeah.
Right. You can't get a helicopter everywhere.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially in inclement weather.
Right.
So,
Well, and to get a helicopter down close enough to do some of that, don't you pose an avalanche risk?
it just kind of depends on the terrain, right? So they can decide. They do something called long line as well. So that's just kind of like you see them hang out underneath the helicopter, and they can drop people that way. They do have a new helicopter that has a winch, so that so the difference between a winch and a long line. Long line is you can't raise and lower it, so they got to go to a safe site, rig everything up, go fly suspended underneath. So it's good for short distances. But the winch is, you can hover above, drop down, do your thing, unhook or whatever, and go back up. So it's a lot better. It's faster. It's safer because you're not dangling under a helicopter.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
it's only this year that Talon can now operate with night vision as well, right?
Yep. So night vision and winching are kind of two really big game changers. So with like a search and rescue group as busy as they are, this is very helpful in speeding up rescues, hopefully, and getting it done. So I mean, the shorter time that members are out in the field, there's less risk as well to them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Then and good point for
Fantastic.
sure, especially as the weather turns, as you were talking about earlier.
Yeah. I mean, there's even danger of just blowdown, like trees just falling on your head. Right. So it's not just like weather, but it's like tree could just fall on you.
Mhm.
Valid
And
point.
it has happened to a member before, and she has a concussion because of it. She was wearing a helmet too, thankfully,
Right.
but it's
But
still
that's
like
still a lot of weight coming down on your head.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow. I was talking about the long line. I was shocked the first time watching the show when I realized, wait, they're flying out on the long line. Aren't they supposed to come down? Grab the person and then climb back up into the. Oh wait, they don't do that. Okay.
No. So I can speak to GSM ×2
Mhm.
because I've actually also been under a long line. I'd seen it many times, so it wasn't something that I was scared of because they're very professional. It's very controlled. It's very safe.
Mhm.
It's not. I'm afraid of Playland. I don't like roller coasters and stuff like that. But this felt lovely. But the prop wash, it's a smaller helicopter, and you're down 50, 100 feet. So that wind coming down from the prop, it's not too bad. There's the big helicopter that the Army uses, the Cormorant,
Mhm.
big yellow helicopter about the size of a school bus. That has really bad prop wash, and that, like, yeah, I wouldn't want to be underneath that. But they winch up and down as well. So
Okay.
for probably good reason.
I think it was the cormorant that Grant was talking about when he was on the show last, when he was talking about the overnight rescue, and he had to straddle the summit, and the cormorant was over top of him, and he was like, "Okay, well, this is going to end one of two ways."
Well, yeah, that was a very interesting rescue because it's like I'd never seen the Cormorant before, and it's just like it's two massive like headlights or this like one big beam of light. Just you can't see the helicopter, you just see this big beam spotlight kind of coming through, and you can hear it, and it's kind of alien almost. Like
Yeah, I was going to say
I
it's
don't
like
I don't know what it
UFO
looks
encounter.
like. Yeah, exactly. It's like a UFO coming, and for filming it, like you kind of have to be close, but even just trying to like film the thing when it was coming up and down, the prop wash from it and all the dust and stuff like that, it was like being sandblasted
Wow.
basically. Yeah, it's cleaning dust out of ears, nose, everywhere.
Oh, amazing. All right. Well, I think we've probably run through
I was
everything.
going to say I hate to change the subject. We have one more
Oh,
FATAS entry,
okay.
and this comes
Oh,
from,
okay.
of course, GSM ×2. Referring to the video, he says, "Wouldn't this type of choose your own adventure be a great extension for Adventure Labs?" Brian Roth
Ah.
already hinted that they were moving in that direction.
So Ian, I'm not sure if you're familiar with what adventure labs are in the
No,
geocaching game.
no.
So it's a digital aspect. So it's all kind of virtual, but you go to locations, physical locations, that you're guided to by the app. And then once you're within a proximity of that location, a question pops up and on your screen, and you answer that question based on something you observe in your location. So it GSM ×2 is suggesting that same kind of gameplay might apply to this idea. And I'm thinking, yeah, it's probably something you could do.
That'd be kind of interesting, bringing it kind of to whatever reality and kind of augmented.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It would add another level to your caching for sure.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Very cool.
Just make sure you bring a charger for your phone so you don't use up
Yes.
all your batteries when you're out there. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
We say that all the time.
Yeah.
Yes. Hey, folks, thanks for joining us this week. And until next week, be safe and get out and get caching in the Northwest.